Now, how does the ancient Vedic understanding of samskaras align with the KYC emphasis on early childhood development and personality shaping? The Vedic parenting always plays extraordinary importance on samskaras, impressions that enters the child's subconscious. Every sound, touch, emotion, conflict, ritual, and blessing forms the child's inner world. Modern psychology echoes this truth. Echoes this truth. Early experiences shape personality, emotional resilience, and cognitive patterns. KYC beautifully bridges these worlds by helping parents understand how their moods, tone, habits, and reactions become impressions in the child's mind. Acharya Ratnananda and Amma were living embodiments of conscious samskara giving. Their home radiated devotion, cleanliness, respect, quiet, discipline, and spiritual rhythm, which naturally shaped the consciousness of their children. KYC teaches parents the same. Your child is absorbing your energy every moment. If you panic, the child becomes anxious. If you are calm, the child feels safe. If you live values instead of lecturing about them, the child imitates effortlessly. Festivals, stories, mantras, and rituals, all these were integral to Amma's parenting. Parents today appreciate this as seen in testimonials like the one from the mother whose daughter learned mantras and stories she herself never knew. She felt joy in watching her child receive such a refined samskaras. Now, KYT extends this to teenagers whose personalities are still malleable but influenced by peer pressure and digital worlds. Vedic parenting combined guidance with freedom. KYT echoes this by teaching parents to communicate without controlling. Samskaras today must be consciously crafted because the world is loud, fast, and distracting. KYC and KYT restore ancient Vedic wisdom in a modern format, ensuring children receive the emotional, ethical, and spiritual grounding that shaped Gurudev himself. Now, parents often confuse discipline with control. How does KYC distinguish value based discipline from force based control? One of the most profound transformations parents undergo in the KYC workshop is understanding that discipline is an act of love, whereas control is an act of fear. Acharya Ratnananda and Amma embodied this distinction impeccably. They never enforced rigid rules through intimidation, yet the home ran with effortless harmony. Their discipline was rooted in respect for time, for rituals, for elders, for silence, and for the inner dignity of the child. They shaped behavior through love, felt consistency, not dominance. KYC shows modern parents that discipline is not about making children obey, it's about helping children understand. When children understand the why, the resistance disappears. KYC facilitators explain behavioral psychology in a simple, relatable way. A child rebels when they perceive control, but they cooperate when they perceive respect. The workshop guides parents to express boundaries without hostility or emotional volatility. Instead of saying, "You must listen because I am your parent," KYC teaches a more effective approach. "I understand how you feel and I want to help you, but this behavior harms you." The shift in tone mirrors Amma's nurturing firmness. She allowed freedom but never compromised on values. Parents discover that value based discipline nurtures character, resilience, and responsibility. Force based control, on the other hand, creates fear, lying, rebellion, or emotional withdrawal. Testimonies from parents like Vasudha reveal that they now create charts at home not to impose rules but to co create routines with children, just as Gurudev often says. Involved children don't impose on them. When parents often soften their communication while maintaining consistent boundaries, children naturally return to cooperation. KYC teaches this delicate balance, helping parents recreate a home atmosphere reminiscent of Acharya and Amma's loving yet disciplined environment. Now, many parents worry about their child's reduced attention span and aggressive outbursts. How does the workshop help parents handle these behavioral patterns? This is one of the strongest areas where the workshop creates immediate relief. Parents often blame themselves for their child's aggression, irritability, or inability to focus. KYC helps them understand that modern children are exposed to a massive sensory overload. The screens, the noise, the quick transitions, high academic pressure, and emotional disconnection caused by nuclear families. Their nervous systems are not designed to process so much stimulation. Aggression is often not anger, it is overstimulation. Lack of focus is not carelessness, it is cognitive fatigue. The moment parents understand this, guilt transforms into compassion. Through KYC, parents learn to recognize emotional thresholds. The workshop teaches that before correcting behavior, one must first stabilize the child's emotional state. Calmness before correction. This is exactly how Amma and Acharya handled situations. When a child acted out, Amma responded with a deliberate gentleness that immediately softened the child's nervous system. Parents learn to recreate that energy by slowing their tone, offering short bursts of silence, and anchoring the child through touch or eye contact before giving instructions. KYC also emphasizes positive direction rather than negative reaction. For attention issues, parents are shown how to use micro tasks, routine anchors, and value based reinforcement. For aggression, the workshop offers reframing. Instead of labeling the child, "You are stubborn," parents learn to label the situation. "This is a difficult moment. Let's handle it together." This creates emotional safety. Now, parents like Shilpa say KYC was an eye opener because every behavioral question they carried was answered with compassion and clarity. This is why the program is so transformative. It doesn't suppress behavior, it teaches parents how to decode it. Once behavior is understood, it becomes manageable. Now, how do the KYC and KYT help revive the cultural foundation and samskaras that modern children are losing touch with? Yeah, one of the most beautiful aspects of KYC and KYT is that they restore the cultural thread that many modern families have unintentionally lost. Today's children grow up in a world where festivals are reduced to school activities, mantras to textbook content, and rituals to optional practices. Yet, culturally rich samskaras are not ornamental, they shape emotional intelligence, belongingness, and inner stability. Vishalakshi Amma ensured that her children were not only familiar with rituals but emotionally connected to them. Every festival had a story, every mantra had a meaning, every action had a value. These samskaras has created a strong inner compass within Gurudev and Bhanumati ji. Now, parents often fear that teaching tradition might feel outdated or forced, but in KYC, tradition is not presented as a rigid structure. It is shown as a resource of emotional nourishment. This is why parents report that their children enjoy the stories, the mantras, and cultural insights shared in the program. One parent said that her daughter learned mantras she herself did not know and felt immense joy watching her child connect to ancient wisdom so naturally. KYC reminds parents that samskaras are not delivered through lectures, they are delivered through atmosphere. KYT extends this to teenagers who often feel cultural disconnect due to peer pressure and digital influence. The workshop teaches parents to present tradition not as an obligation but as a treasure. When children understand the meaning behind rituals, they embrace them with pride rather than resistance. This is how samskaras survive, not through enforcement but through emotional resonance. The KYC and the KYT restore that resonance. Now, in today's busy lifestyle, how can working parents realistically implement the teachings of KYC without feeling overwhelmed? Yeah, one of the most comforting aspects of KYC is that it does not demand unrealistic lifestyle changes. It understands the world parents live in: tight schedules, office pressure, long commutes, household duties, and emotional fatigue. The workshop is designed to fit into real life, not an ideal one. Parents learn that transformation does not require more time, it requires more awareness. Amar or Ammadi did not have to make time for parenting Acharyaji and Ammaji. Their consciousness itself became the guide. KYC helps working parents cultivate that same consciousness in small practical ways. Now, the workshop teaches parents to integrate value based communication into everyday moments. Instead of long lectures, parents use short, heartfelt statements. Instead of forcing rituals, they introduce simple practices. One story before sleeping, 1 minute of gratitude, a small shared prayer, a brief silence before meals. None of these require extra time, yet they create a profound impact on the child's emotional world. Now, parents also learn to prioritize connection over correction. A working parent may have only 20 to 30 minutes of quality time daily, but when used consciously with full attention, no phone, no irritation, that time becomes nourishment for the child's heart. KYC teaches parents to create emotional anchors so that even short interactions become stabilizing moments. Now, the most relieving part of for busy parents is the workshops is reassurance that they need not be perfect. They simply need to be present, aware, and value oriented. Parents leave the session feeling empowered rather than burdened. As one parent said earlier, I understood the problem, but I didn't know how to handle it. Now I do. This is exactly what the shift the KYC offers: clarity instead of confusion, confidence instead of guilt. Now, can KYC help parents whose children show signs of ADHD or severe attention related difficulties. Absolutely. While KYC is not a medical program, it provides essential emotional and behavioral frameworks that support children with attention challenges. Many parents confuse attention issues with mischief or laziness. KYC helps parents understand the neurological basis of attention deficits. Modern children are subjected to constant digital stimulation, rapid content, and noisy environments that condition the brain to seek quick dopamine hits. This creates restlessness and reduces sustained focus. Parents learn how to build a calm, consistent emotional environment, something Acharya and Amma excelled at creating. Children with ADHD like tendencies need predictable routines and minimal emotional chaos. The workshop teaches parents exactly how to build these stabilizing rhythms. They learn to create short tasks, provide clear instructions, break activities into manageable steps, and reinforce positive behavior without overpraising. Parents also learn how to avoid overstimulation, reduce screen dependency, and channel a child's energy into constructive outlets. Now, more importantly, KYC helps parents shift from frustration to understanding. When a child experiences difficulty focusing, they are not choosing to be difficult. They simply need more structure and emotional scaffolding. Parents who attend KYC often share that the session helped them recognize the child's struggles rather than labeling the child. This alone changes the emotional dynamic at home. Younger children flourish when parents adopt the calm, steady communication style modeled by Amma. Teenagers flourish when parents blend guidance with empathy, as taught in KYT. Thus, KYC and KYT become essential allies for parents navigating attention related concerns. Now, what guidance do KYC and KYT offer for the growing problem of online addiction, especially post pandemic? Together, online addiction has become one of the greatest modern parenting challenges. The pandemic intensified screen dependency because children's socialization, schooling, entertainment, and communication all happen online. KYC does not dismiss technology, instead, it provides parents practical ways to restore balance. The workshop explains the psychology of addictions. Screens delivered instant gratification, activating dopamine centers in the brain. Once hooked, the child finds real world activities boring. Parents discover that scolding or forcefully restricting screens usually backfires because it increases rebellion. Instead, KYC teaches how to replace online addiction with offline joy. Children do not quit screens because parents say so. They quit when life outside screens becomes more meaningful. The workshop teaches parents to anchor the child into rituals, creativity, outdoor activities, simple celebrations, family bonding, storytelling, and shared silence, all elements that Amma infused into her household. Parents learn communication phrases and don't trigger resistance, such as, let's do this together first, instead of stop using your phone. KYT addresses the teen specifically. It helps parents understand that teenagers use screens to escape pressure, loneliness, or emotional turmoil. Instead of attacking the symptom, the workshop teaches parents to heal the cause. Parents learn to rebuild emotional safety, so teens voluntarily reduce screen time. Many parents report improvement within days. Now, KYC helps the parents build boundaries with warmth, not fear. Amma never shouted, yet children automatically aligned with her guidance. KYC helps parents embody that same energy, making the home more engaging than the virtual world. Now, often parents say, we want to raise a child like Gurudev, but they don't know where to begin. So, can you explain what Acharya Ratnananji and Amma Vishalakshi did differently that today stands as an almost impossible benchmark? Jagadav began with presence. Acharya was not merely a father, he was a tapasvi, a man of deep silence, scriptural wisdom, and unfaltering discipline. Amma was not merely a mother, she was the divinity in a human form, soft, devotional, simple, and soaked in seva. Children don't become extraordinary through instructions, they become extraordinary through impressions. The atmosphere in Gurudev's home was saturated with mantras, sadhana, generosity, and kindness. No anger, no negativity, no harsh tone. Even when correcting, Acharya used gentleness backed by inner strength. They never imposed ambition, they cultivated awareness. They never pushed him toward achievement, they nurtured his natural blossoming. This is exactly how Know Your Child teaches how to create an atmosphere around a child that silently shapes them. And KYC says a child is not listening to your words, the child is absorbing your vibration. Acharya lived that truth naturally. And remember, they did not raise a world famous spiritual master, they simply raised a pure hearted child. The greatness blossom later. The duty of parents is not to produce a Gurudev, but to create a receptive soil within the child so that their own inner light emerges. KYC teaches parents exactly this, how to be gardeners, not mechanics. Acharya and Amma didn't make Gurudev, they allowed him to flower. That is the highest intelligence in parenting. Now, many parents feel guilty today that they don't have time for their children because of work pressure. How did Acharya balance responsibilities? And how does the KYC workshop address this modern challenge? Jagadev Acharya worked full time, yet his presence at home was total. It wasn't about hours, it was about quality of vibration. When he stepped into the house, the energy shifted, calm, gentle, devotional. Even 15 minutes of such presence nourishes a child more than 3 hours of distracted parenting. KYC teaches a powerful principle. Children don't need your time, they need your mind. When a parent learns pranayama and meditation, their stress reduces, attention increases, and even short interactions become emotionally rich. In Vedic culture, the highest gift a parent gives is a Santa Bhav, Shanta Bhav, or a peaceful presence. Acharya embodied this. Modern parents can too if they learn the tools. KYC is not about lecture, it gives practical methods, how to greet your child after work, how to communicate without transferring stress, how to listen without judgment. Many working parents report that after KYC, their bond with their child improved instantly. Parenting is not about quantities of hours, it is about the state of the parents' consciousness. That is what Acharya mastered and what KYC teaches. Now, how did Amma Vishalakshi instill spiritual values gently without forcing religion or fear? Neither Amma never preached, she demonstrated. If she recited Vishnu Sahasranama, she did it not as a ritual, but as an outpouring of pure devotion. Observing her children naturally absorbed her reverence. She never forced Gurudev or Bhanumati ji to sit for puja. She simply created an environment where devotion felt natural, even joyful. Values are not taught, they are caught. This is the central principle of KYC. Children copy what they see, not what they hear. Now, Amma upheld the Shuddhata, the cleanliness of thought, speech, and environment. She never spoke ill of anyone. She gave without counting. She forgave instantly. These behaviors program a child's subconscious deeply. KYC teaches parents how to weave values invisibly through stories, rituals, simple daily gestures, respectful tone, cultural sensitivity. Amma's parenting was value based, not fear based. That is the hallmark of enlightened parenting. Now, is it realistic for modern parents to even aspire to reach the level of parenting that Acharya and Amma embodied? Jagdev, yes, because the aim is not to copy them, but to imbibe the principles they lived by. You don't have to be a tapasvi or a saint, you just need to be a conscious parent. KYC gives modern parents a blueprint how to regulate emotions, how to understand child psychology, how to avoid common parenting mistakes, and how to cultivate an atmosphere of positivity. Even small changes produce large results. Remember, in Vedic wisdom, every parent has the potential to become a rishi for their child. Acharya and Amma set a benchmark to inspire, not intimidate. If you adopt even 10% of their lifestyle, patience, devotion, compassionate speech, you will see a transformation in your child. Parenting is not perfection, it is presence, and presence is something every parent can cultivate with the right guidance. That is why KYC exists. Now, how does the KYC workshop address child's behavioral issues like anger, stubbornness, screen addiction, or lack of focus? The KYC begins by explaining the brain development stages of children. Many behaviors parents label as problems are simply age appropriate expressions. When parents understand the mind of the child, frustration reduces. The workshop teaches scientifically backed tools, how to respond instead of react, how to set boundaries without shouting, and how to reduce screen dependency and create alternatives. Parents learn that correction must happen only when the child is emotionally receptive, not when the parent is emotionally charged. From a Vedic perspective, behavior improves when the prana of the child is balanced. A peaceful home, proper sleep rhythm, sattvic food, chanting, and loving communication all help. Acharya used such methods intuitively. Modern parents can learn them consciously. KYC bridges science and spirituality, behavioral psychology with the pranic wisdom. Many parents report that tantrums reduce within days after applying the techniques. When parents change, the child's behavior automatically aligns. So parents today struggle with communication. Children don't listen, they argue, they withdraw. How did Acharya communicate with young Gurudev? And how does the KYC teach effective communication? Gurudev Acharya communicated with extraordinary clarity and compassion. His words were few but potent because they came from a mind free of agitation. When he spoke to the heart, not merely to the behavior. Children obey not because of authority but because of emotional resonance. Gurudev often shares that Acharya never humiliated, never used harshness, never raised his voice even while correcting. His firmness was fragrant with love. KYC teaches us something similar. Connect before you correct. When parents react from stress, the child's brain shuts down. When parents speak with calm prana, the child becomes receptive instantly. Parents learn tone modulation, timing of conversations, and the difference between instructing and inspiring. Now, in the Vedic tradition, communication with a child is a sacred act, the Vagadana, the gift of uplifting speech. Amma embodied this flawlessly. Her words were always sweet, soft, and encouraging. Even disagreement was wrapped in understanding. A child raised in such communication develops emotional security and innocence. KYC helps parents return to this ancient art so that speech becomes nurturing, not wounding, guiding, not controlling. Now, parents want their children to excel academically and socially. How did Acharya and Amma balance discipline and freedom? And what does KYC teach about academic pressure? Then Acharya believed discipline should never suffocate creativity. He set clear boundaries but allowed immense inner freedom. Young Gurudev was never pushed into comparison or competition. He was encouraged to explore music, Upanishads, compassion, observation, silence. Disciplines are often ignored today. Because of this inner freedom, academic excellence became a natural, not stressful. KYC teaches parents to differentiate between healthy discipline and pressure. Discipline aligns a child's energy, pressure constricts it. A child under pressure may achieve temporarily but loses enthusiasm, creativity, and mental health. A disciplined child feels guided, not controlled. When parents learn how the child's brain processes stress, they stop using fear based motivation. KYC replaces pressure with encouragement, criticism with coaching, and punishment with understanding. Now, in Vedic parenting, discipline is not about obedience, it's about swadharma, helping the child discover their own gifts. Acharya's discipline was rooted in that philosophy. Academic excellence flows when the mind is calm, prana is high, and the child feels loved. KYC helps create that inner ecosystem. Now, children today face emotional turbulence, anxiety, jealousy, fear of missing out, lack of confidence. How did the environment in Gurudev's home nurture emotional strength? And how can KYC help modern parents create the same? The atmosphere of Acharyaji's home was emotionally safe. No shouting, no sarcasm, no comparison, no unpredictable reactions. That stability created deep emotional security. Children growing up in such an environment naturally become confident and compassionate. Gurudev imbibed both the strength of Acharyaji and the tenderness of Amma. KYC helps parents decode emotions, why a child snaps, cries, isolates, or seeks attention. When parents understand emotional triggers, they stop blaming and start supporting. The program teaches tools like breathing techniques, empathy based responses, positive reinforcement, creating routines that reduce stress, and subtle ways to build self esteem. Parents learn to recognize emotional needs before behavioral symptoms erupt. Now, Vedic texts say, Balamano nirmalam priyatapen vardate. A child's mind blossoms to affectionate warmth. Amma embodies this. She nurtured emotions quietly through stories, mantras, celebrations, cleanliness, food made with love, gentle guidance. KYC trains parents to reintroduce these ancient nurturing methods in a contemporary way. Now, the digital world is overwhelming, the screens, the gaming addiction, the social media pressure. And if Acharya were raising children today, what would and how would he handle this? And what does KYC advise? The Acharya would start with self regulation. Parents cannot demand discipline if they themselves are glued to screens. Children copy parents, not rules. He would reduce digital exposure not by force but by offering richer alternatives in music, chanting, stories, games, outdoor activities, conversations. Attention naturally shifts when the child's inner world is nourished. KYC teaches a practical model. Replace screens with structured creativity. Create screen schedules collaboratively. Teach emotional awareness to reduce compulsive scrolling. Model healthy device usage as parents. Use breathing techniques to reduce addictive impulses. KYC also explains how screens affect dopamine, sleep, and child psychology, so parents understand the science behind rules. Vedic parenting relied on Sangha, the company a child gives. Today, screens are the new company and must be monitored with wisdom. Acharya always ensured elevating association for Gurudev. The scriptures, the satsangs, the saints, the music, the seva. Parents today must consciously choose digital association. KYC gives strategies that align modern neuroscience with timeless wisdom. Now, can KYC truly transform a parent's relationship with their child? Many parents feel discouraged after years of struggle. There is absolutely transformation begins the moment a parent transforms, not a child. When parents change tone, energy, expectation, communication style, and emotional presence, children respond instantly, often within days. KYC has countless testimonials. Children becoming calmer, relationships healing, communication improving, screen time dropping, and respect increasing. Why? Because the course addresses the root of parents' state of mind. KYC teaches how to see the child's world through their eyes, how to communicate without conflict, how to rebuild trust, and how to reduce stress in the home, how to handle tantrums, fears, and anger, and how to build a nurturing environment like Acharya and Amma created. In Vedic culture, a child is shaped not by punishment but by the prasada, the peaceful sattvic energy of the parents. KYC restores the ability parents become more patient, more joyful, more aware, and more grounded. When the home regains the qualities of Acharya and Amma, even a little miracles happen, relationships heal, the child's personality blossoms, parenting becomes a joyful journey again. Now, parents today feel guilty working long hours, spending less time with children. How did Acharya manage his responsibilities while remaining deeply present for his children? And how does KYC guide modern working parents? Though Acharya was a man of immense responsibility, he was engaged in social service, spiritual work, and community upliftment, yet he was fully present whenever he was with his children. Presence is not measured in hours but in quality of attention. Even a few minutes of undivided, joyful, calm presence creates lifelong emotional security. Acharya had this extraordinary ability to make every interaction sacred. KYC teaches this principle beautifully. Working parents need not feel guilty. Guilt drains energy. Instead, a workshop shows the parents how to create micro moments of connection, a peaceful breakfast, a 5 minute nightly conversation, a short breathing practice together, a warm touch, a smile filled with pride. These small deposits of emotional currency nourished a child far more than forced lengthy interactions filled with stress. Now, in Vedic Dharma, the Grahastha ashrama includes responsibilities towards society and family. Many saints and sages were householders. They achieved balance through sankalpa, clear intention, and purity of heart. Acharya embodied this. Amma complemented him with the softness, storytelling, rituals, and nurturing routines, ensuring the children always feel anchored. KYC teaches parents to recreate this harmony even in modern working lives. Now, some parents fear that they are too late, their child is already stubborn, angry, inattentive, or rebellious. Could Acharya's parenting principles still help such situations? And how does the KYC handle parents who come with years of frustration? Jagadev, nothing is ever too late in the realm of human behavior because the brain is always capable of rewiring itself. Gurudev often says, the mind is fluid. Acharya never saw any child as difficult, only misunderstood. This compassionate attitude dissolves resistance. When parents change their approach, children unconsciously soften. Even teenagers show surprising shifts within days. KYZ teaches parents to break old cycles of shouting, nagging, bribing, and punishing and introduces new cycles of empathy, trust building, clear boundaries, and emotionally intelligent communication. Parents learn why children rebel, usually because they feel unheard or over controlled. When parents start listening deeply, offering choices, and communicating with steadiness, the child's emotional defense melts away. Now, the Vedas describe children as inherently divine. Balaha Narayana Swarupa, the rebel is not bad, the prana is turbulent. Acharya handled even the most challenging children with patience, humor, and unwavering belief in their goodness. KYC helps parents revive the sacred attitude and rebuild relationships even after years of strain. A single shift in parental consciousness can begin a complete family transformation. Now, what role did rituals, mantras, and cultural grounding play in Gurudev's upbringing? Can KYC help parents reintroduce values and culture without feeling old fashioned? Acharya and Amma created an environment steeped in sacredness. Mantras were not imposed, they were simply part of the atmosphere. Gentle, rhythmic, comforting festivals were celebrated with depth, not superficiality. Children naturally absorbed values because they were woven into daily life. This cultural grounding gave young Gurudev immense clarity, fearlessness, compassion, and inner stability from an early age. KYC teaches parents how to introduce culture in a joyful, non preachy, non authoritarian way. Storytelling, simple chants, gratitude rituals, family time, celebrating festivals with meaning. All these create emotional grounding. When values are taught through stories and experiences, not lectures, children embrace them willingly. Now, culture is not all old fashioned, it is foundational. A child connected to roots grows with dignity and identity. The Vedic tradition emphasizes samskara as positive impressions on the mind. Acharya and Amma provided these through rituals filled with warmth. KYC helps modern parents reintroduce cultural grounding in a way that fits contemporary life, making children more resilient and respectful.